Ladies, gentlemen, and those not restricted by binary definitions of gender, I hope you're hungry because it's time for some leftovers. This recap for the arc Retail Therapy covers episodes 10 through 19. Now that they had destroyed the maze, the Gru was off to conquer a strange and terrifying new adventure: real estate. The Gru returned to the abandoned farm where the mysterious disappearances had begun, hoping to invoke squatters' rights and have a base of operations in the valley. However, someone had beaten them to it. They discovered two half-elven children hunkering in the farmhouse waiting for their mother to return. The Gru decided to take them under their wing, and Glunkus and Marine sang them to sleep with a lovely frog song. The next day, as the Gru attempted to persuade the kids to return to the village with them, their mother finally returned. This led to some tense moments as their motherly instincts were in full force, and she held the Gru at arrow point while they stood in front of her children. Eventually, the Gru was able to talk their way out of it without bloodshed, leaving the children safely in their mother's care. And with a heavy heart, they parted ways. Big entrusted small McLarge into the children's care. The Gru then returned to the village and went to work setting Marine up on a date with Adwin, which was successful in spite of most of the Gru's antics. From there, they spent the rest of the day shopping in the village center, getting a rather massive wheel of cheese before seeking a bakery in a side street. Once inside, rather than pay for bread, the group pulled off a wild heist, resulting in the theft of the most exquisitely baked bread and a new enemy in the form of a portly tiefling baker. Side note, we really do keep fucking over tieflings. Later that night was the fabled date, which Maureen was once again able to scrape some success from despite everyone else's help. The next morning, the Gru took on a contract to act as guards for a caravan of people heading from the isolated village of Eichen Valley, snugly located in the Adlerven Kingdom's outer ring, all the way into the center. The first few days of their journey went out without a hitch, although when they broke to rest in the city of Ifron's Reach, a city on the border of the inner and outer rings, Penny was regrettably called away to help relocate her ex-girlfriend and her squad. With a tinge of sadness, the Gru set out the next morning, a bit smaller than before. However, before too long, they encountered a rambunctious halfling who was about to become a meal for the number of griffins. They managed to rescue him, and Ansel Thickbush, the halfling fighter and explorer, agreed to join the Gru on their journey. The rest of the escort mission passed without incident, and in time, the Gru safely arrived in the bustling metropolis that is Bayadern. They partied it up one night at B'ar's place, where they enjoyed the finest ramen beer they'd ever tasted. Over the next several days, the Gru took advantage of the city's bustling mercantile district, and eventually they made their way to a strange and wonderful DIY furniture run by gnomes. Unfortunately, the store was in havoc, and much of it was on fire, although the second part was the Gru's fault. They rescued Alan Rummelsthrift, a gnome artificer who'd been toying with the idea of self-assembling furniture. The bad news was that his inventions had been corrupted and were running amok in the store. The Gru set out to clear out the store and ran into a familiar face. Penny's mission had also brought her here. She'd been following a peculiar magical signature related to her ex's disappearance. In short time, the Gru discovered the source of this magical signature, the same smoke that had corrupted the maze in Eichen Valley. They defeated it once again, this time in the form of a huge furniture golem, but the mysterious smoke once again escaped, leaving the Gru with more questions than answers. Penny rejoined the team from there on, and their missions now on similar paths, the Gru gathered their rewards and headed back into town to rest and see what the next dawn would bring.